Liquid ladies and bubbly boys. Sop up your overflow. Empty your dehumidifier. And damn, that's damp.
It's time to talk Tull to me.
You know that people are going to think that sounds like a bog.
I know. It's just Nick drinking his wassail.
Welcome back. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together we are the Feckless Momes.
And this, my little drip trays, is Talk Tull to me.
A soggy slog through the water prairies of prog rock, in which non-waterproof Nick and open-top Omen will diligently drip our neurons all over each and every track with which rainy rock band Jethro Tull have ever irrigated the arid lands of our earholes. We will deluge Doan Perry, give Jonathan Noyce a much-needed sponge bath, gather the morning dew from Andrew Giddings' grass, and blast Martin Barr with a fire hose. Don't worry, it'll help cool him down after his morning run. And if we can keep our powder dry and our boots unsopped, we may just get a little spray on our faces by the saturated Scotsman, the waterlogged otter hog, the moist minstrel, the dervish of drizzle, the prince of the rinse. No, that's not condensation on your glass. It's Ian. If you're not part of the aqueous solution, you're part of the aqueous problem. Anderson.
That was really good. I like that one a lot.
I can tell that you liked waterlogged otter hog. I put that in there for you.
Otter hog. Like one who hogs otters?
It could be. Yeah. Yeah, like at the bar.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. I get it.
Or a zoo that just won't stop.
Won't stop.
Or it's a cross between an otter and a hog.
That was my initial thought because my mind goes to the fantastical.
There's no wrong answers with that because there are no right answers.
Exactly. That's the beauty of making stuff up is who cares?
That's right. Speaking of making stuff up, Nick, we have sort of a pivot point episode here today. It's a signpost on our journey, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say, surely.
And it is actually a Jethro Tull song that we're going to be talking about today.
That's right. That's why it's so important. Yeah.
Our first one.
Yes. No, this is the final track off of our run through jtull.com. This is the one, I guess you could call it a bonus track. It wasn't technically a bonus track, but it was included on like a very limited edition release of some singles off of jtull.com.
It's close enough to a bonus track for us.
Yes, exactly. It's somehow tied to this album, but it was not released on the main album. Therefore, bonus track. This is a song that neither you nor I have heard.
Correctamente.
I think I might have listened to it like once a while ago, but I could not tell you what it sounds like. So we're going in blind here. We're going to listen to It All Trickles Down.
All trickles down.
In case you think just some of it trickles down, no.
No, actually, you would be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you should know about that.
All of it does.
Every little bit.
Every last drop.
Let's have a listen.
Dripple in my ears.
Nick McGill.
Oh my gosh, Omen Thomas Sade.
Does it all trickle down to you?
You know, I've given that some serious thought over the last 3 years, and I think it might.
It all trickles down to this.
That would be the bump right before a commercial break.
In a Jethro Tull concert.
On a reality show where they are ice carvers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or economists. Or economists.
Reagan era economists, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so new listen for both of us.
Yeah.
What are your first impressions? Just give me words that have no connection.
Surprising.
Okay.
Sweet.
Oh.
Scary.
Okay, sweet and scary, yes.
And
And a word that begins with V.
vivacious.
I love it. I'll take it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I know now to not expect anything, to have no expectations when I listen to a Jethro Tull song that I've never heard before.
Right. You learned that lesson during Nightcap.
I learned that the hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, it broke your legs.
I'll never walk the same again, but I'm taller.
Well, yeah. It's worth it.
I find that this is a fun sound. I think I like the sound of this song more than I like the construction of it. But I do like the sound of it, and it's fun. I think it fits with the album. Like, I don't think it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit vibe-wise of Down at the End of Your Road.
I get that. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It feels to me, and I know they put it out on like a single album, not an official release, but kind of an official release. But it does feel incomplete. It does feel unfinished.
I picked up on that as well, and I think it's worth remembering that we are listening to this in a format that we're not used to. We're listening to this off of the YouTubes. My only point is that because this is not an official, we're not playing this off of the CD. We're not playing this off of a piece of vinyl. We're not playing it off of, a streaming service where the song has been verified. We can't verify the quality of the track that we're hearing off of YouTube. We don't know who uploaded it.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. The mixing could definitely have been borked in the process of the uploading.
Possible.
Yeah.
But I still agree with you that there is something that feels a little bit like just needs another 5 minutes in the oven. Just get that golden brown.
It's a little too segmented and simplified. I feel like there's not enough transition for these sounds. Like each part is so distinct, and I like all of the sounds. I like what they're playing with here, but it does feel like that there ought to be a little more fluidity in terms of getting from one area to another.
It's interesting. Yeah. I feel like it's missing one layer. That being said, it is a fantastic song.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
I love the intro, how hard and cinematic it is.
I was not expecting all of that. The guitar, the stingy Martin, coming really hard. Not hard like turning it up to 11, blasting the hell out of it, but just the way he plays hard, stingy.
The way that he's playing that guitar makes you feel like maybe he's killed a man in the past.
Yeah, just to watch him die.
Or at least wrote him a very pointed note after observing a parking job.
A stern letter about how he parked over the line a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The vibe of this song is very Batman.
Yeah. The guitar starts us off with that. Very, very justifiably, we're starting with a funk here.
Yes. This song is very funky. It's very bluesy in a lot of it.
Right, yeah. I was trying to think, this feels... It doesn't sound reminiscent of their blues era, their blues jazz era, but it does have something that is similar. I would never expect to hear this on This Was.
No.
But it does sound a little bit like it has something similar to that style. I couldn't tell you what it is.
It's not even similar to Catfish.
Yeah, right.
It's a different blues style. It's more of a rock, dark, nasty, really southern, like New Orleans rock blues.
Yeah, your fingers are covered in crawfish juice.
Yes, exactly. How do you get that sound out of the bass? Crawfish juice.
Crawfish juice.
You gotta suck the heads.
Yeah, but speaking of bass, Noyce is front and center there,
yes, he is.
Really clamping along right in that beginning with the guitar.
Yeah.
We get the flute, we get Doan's drums coming in strong, and we get some really nice strings. Synth strings.
Yes.
But strings all the same.
And to me, I believe that's what gives that sense of cinematic feeling, that cinematic feeling right at the very beginning.
Right. If there weren't strings, it would be super grungy, but it wouldn't have that kind of mysterious, ethereal quality.
Yes.
Which is even more potent because why would there be strings with this other sound going on?
Yeah, totally. I'm going to call this genre Southern Gothic.
Yeah, I love it. Perfect.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. The police are here. That's
oh
weird.
no! Please go address that.
Oh, I'm arrested.
Oh goodness!
So apparently, Southern Gothic is not a musical style. So we have that hard cinematic sound, but then only 25 seconds ish in,
right?
We switch to that totally light sound with the acoustic guitar, the flute.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a fully acoustic sound, but it feels more acoustic.
It's significantly lighter than what they set us up for, yeah.
And then just after that, we have the organ coming in, so the new sound for Giddings in this track.
There's a dragon tail swishing behind the night.
Is Doan using brushes at this point? He's still hitting the snare, but I think he's using a brush while he does it. I think.
Interesting.
Poison's rising, I'm up too tight.
I would totally buy that that's brush.
Yeah.
Either that or he has the snare on a setting where he's getting a lot of vibration out of the snare parts that are on the bottom head.
Yeah.
It does feel very kind of like back room, jazzy, bluesy drumming.
Yeah, it sounds to me like the bulk of it is the soft, like the end of the bristle. And then when we get that harder hit, he's going closer to the actual stick. So he gets a little more contact and a little more punch behind it.
That's a really good detail to notice. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so at then 108, we get the wonderful piano riff.
That's when he starts It All Trickles Down. We get the piano there. Yeah, very pretty. And then he also goes into strings and synth sound at that point.
It all trickles down. Yes, it all trickles down.
That chorus is the Andy Giddings show underneath Ian singing.
It's Andy Giddings, not squared, cubed. It's Andy Giddings cubed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. He's doing a lot there. And it's so good.
He's rotating on two different axes.
He's three-dimensional.
He's three-dimensional.
Yeah. I've always said that about Andy, yeah.
We've always said that about Andy Giddings.
Right.
Shortly thereafter, we have a little musical breakdown with the flute and the electric guitar, Ian and Martin, playing in parallel tracks, kind of playing the same melody, playing in unison.
Yeah.
Or mostly in unison, something that we've heard quite a lot in this era, especially. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's lovely. They're, of course, each doing their own ornamentation, their own little additions to the tune, but they're largely following each other. And then at 158, we return to that really hard sound that we had at the beginning. I think the way you said it is really spot on. The musical journey that this song takes us on is fantastic. And I'm there. I bought a ticket.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's some little bumps when the train changes tracks.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not a smooth ride, but you get what you pay for.
I spilled my martini.
Is there a martini on an Amtrak? So right after that second jaunt into the really heavy bit, at about 2:10, 2:15.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We get into I guess you'd call it the bridge. Would be the tea on toast. We get this weird, stepping happening in the background. It's like, and it's really uniform. So it's not and I feel like we've heard the sound effect of heels walking on a tile floor before.
We certainly have. I think we had that in Under Wraps, actually.
Yes. It feels like it has to do with an airplane or something, but yeah.
Oh, maybe No Step.
No Step. Yeah, that's my guess. But that being said, there is something in the background that's
Yeah. My first thought when I heard that was, oh no, they forgot to take out the click track. Because it really does, it kind of sounds like that to me. I'm a little confused about that element. I don't know how it occurs in your headphones. Maybe you're listening off of a better file than I found, but I find it very in the forward and a bit distracting. And I did think that maybe it was some sort of an error, but then I heard it pan from left to center.
Interesting.
So it must be in there on purpose, but yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out, is it, we'll talk more about the meaning of the song a little bit later, but
yeah,
I wondered, is it supposed to be time ticking away? Is it a horse? Is it the inevitability of the horsemen of the apocalypse? I'm just not quite sure what is making it.
Yeah.
And why it's there.
It really does sound like a footstep to me. It's not so crisp and clear. It's clearly mechanically put in there because it's so concise every single time.
Right.
But it does sound like there's just the slightest scuff in there.
Okay, so the interesting thing about it is that it's almost got two tones. It's almost like...
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Would be the one, would be the tea on toast. Would be the sun, would be the Holy Ghost. If this is not believable.
It's got a little bit of a variance in the tone of it, which makes me think that it could be a wood block or something.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like a wet wood block.
A soggy wood block.
A damp piece of pine.
Trickly piece of oak.
A watery walnut,
yes.
if you will. Yeah.
A moist maple.
Yeah, that's it. I think we got there.
There it is.
Okay, so then at about 3:25, we have almost a full restart of the song. We go back to that hard sound. And then we go through a lot of the lyrics once again.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a repeat at around somewhere between 3 and 3:25. Yeah. It's just like, okay, and we coda from here, and we're good.
With a little bit of a difference.
A little bit, yeah.
At 4:25, there is a new version of that hard intro sound, where we have a little bit of a different guitar riff that's really quite fun.
Yeah.
And adds a little, novelty to it.
That's also the beginning of the end.
Yes.
That's where we go into kind of a surprising ending.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking at the audio file, so when it stopped, I was like, oh, wow, that's potent.
Going up with the in on the flute and ending on that kind of a peep.
Quite a serious button.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that in that outro, we also have the strings coming back in that really give it that kind of push.
Yeah.
Fun song.
Yeah. That ending is really, really nice. And it's so shocking in the end because they set us up with that bum, 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 a couple of times.
Yes.
It's enough that we get into that momentum. So then when Ian's like, nope, done, it's very jarring. And I like it. I think it's a great end.
You know what I'm excited about?
What's that?
I'm excited in a couple of years' time to hear the remaster of this song.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because it feels like maybe it's just that it didn't get whatever final treatment, whatever final polish goes on these songs before they hit the market.
Yeah.
And maybe we're totally wrong about that. Maybe we just have a bad file from the YouTube.
Yeah. You are referring to that sneak peek that we got from friend of the pod, JDA. Those 5 bonus tracks for when they do remaster.com. One of them was It All Trickles Down. Whether they have to remaster it or they're just putting out a solid copy of the song that we can actually get the good quality of, it's gonna sound different, I imagine, from this, what we're listening to, into that whenever they do release those bonus tracks on .com.
And it's a fantastic track.
Yeah.
Really fun, really, really dark and kind of stanky.
Mm-hmm. The more I think about it, the more I like Southern Gothic. I think it fits really well. Those strings just take it into a New Orleans graveyard to me.
This could be a song about a vampire.
Yeah. Very Interview with a Vampire.
It all trickles down to you.
Oh, the blood, it trickles down my chin. Omen.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Some correspondence has trickled down to us.
That's lovely. I freaking love it when we get correspondence. It really makes my day.
So do I. It's so great to hear those opinions and those insights that we just always seem to miss.
Well, and it makes it feel like we're not just squawking into the void.
Yeah.
We're really having a dialogue with the wonderful listeners that are part of the Tull Skull community.
Yes.
What has trickled down into our inbox?
So this is in response to Bends Like a Willow.
Okay.
The track that dropped last week.
Which it sure did.
It sure did. Before we go any further, I just want to say I played Bends Like a Willow for Raven.
Oh.
And she liked it.
Pass the Raven test. Put it on the wall.
Because she says it's so weird sounding, apparently, that it works for her.
Unlike the rest of Jethro Tull.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. Okay, so this is from Folky Phil.
Folky Phil.
Folkiest of Phils right here. Hi, Nick and Omen. Just lending an ear to the Bends Like a Willow pod as I lie in my rented bed in the great city of Bristol, where on the morrow I shall see the first of this year's 2 Tull Christmas shows at the cathedral.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Great news about all the new activity on the recording front. Brand new album, brand new old songs, and yet more remasters. Don't tell anyone at Tull Towers, but I can never tell any difference to the old mixes. Not gonna lie, I usually cannot either. I have high hopes that Under Wraps will be more radically refreshed.
Yeah, actually, it's true. They're getting Ariana Grande to sing all of Ian's parts on that, so that'll be really different.
She's scatting the drums as well. Yeah.
That's right.
I thought it was a good spot from you to reference All Around My Hat, where we talked about putting the willow in the hat. And the sound clip that I used was from Steel Eye Span.
Oh, nice.
So he says, All Around My Hat by the legendary Steel Eye Span from their album of the same name from 1975. I felt sure that you'd mentioned that this came out just 2 years after their album, Now We Are Six, produced by a certain Ian Anderson.
Oh, wow.
But sadly, you didn't.
No, we didn't. That's amazing. I don't think I knew that.
And I told him it was pure coincidence. I literally just took the first version of All Around My Hat that I found and was like, oh, Steel Eye Span works for this era. Let's plop that in there.
And I think it's a traditional song, but it might be one of those faux-traditional.
Yeah, Steel Eye Span does a lot like Fairport, I think. Maybe not as much as Fairport, but I think Steel Eye does dabble in
some of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also didn't reference the other Tull Willow song, Pussy Willow, another name for the catkin, you know.
Oh my goodness.
The fish trap line brings to mind Ian's time as the boss of what has been the largest fish farming business in Scotland.
Right.
A quote-unquote trap from which he was attempting to escape as he was recording 1999's.com.
Wow.
The company was for sale at the time, and it sold after it had been on the market for 7 years,
Wow.
94 to 2001.
That is such a keen observation and such a great parallel to draw. And a very difficult business to sell, I would imagine. You'd have to have a very, very specific kind of buyer.
Yeah, definitely. Just one other thing. He also sent a picture of the disc that contained BendsLikeAWillow.com and It All Trickles Down.
Oh, nice.
It turns out the CD single was limited to 5,000 copies. And I have one. I'd totally forgotten all about it.
Wow. That's cool.
So I think we described this during the album art. It's got the picture of the statue. It's got Jethro Tull, BendsLikeAWillow.com, It All Trickles Down. And on the back, it says limited edition number 4411 of 5,000.
Wow.
Here's a little insight, actually, into the album art. Cover painting by Ian Anderson based on a sculpture by Michael Cooper.
Wow.
There we go. We got a little further insight into that. This little single bit here came out on Papillon Records, which was a joint enterprise of Chrysalis and Tull to start a heritage label for established artists.
Yep, we heard about that one before.
This single was the first release in 1999, but Papillon wasn't commercially successful and closed down in 2002.
Very sad.
Womp womp. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Folky Phil, thank you so much for kind of giving us the context as per usual.
As always.
You always get us folked.
Folked up. You folk me up, Phil. Folk me up.
And I love that the observation about the caught in a fish trap and how it could potentially have overtones of this damn salmon business.
Yeah, right. The Sam Damon business. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you for writing in. Always lovely to hear from you.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you, Folky Phil. Now, Omen, to the part that everyone has been waiting for 14 tracks. Tell us, how did people receive .com?
So here's the interesting thing about the reviews that I found about .com. Most of them are pretty critical and a little bit feel like kind of piling on like, yeah, let's make fun of Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
But the ones that are written by Tull fans are mostly really positive.
Huh.
The people who are like, I review albums, I listen to prog rock, disliked it heavily, and say things like, it'd be fairly described as both sprawling and exhausting. Or, I like this review says, once again, Tull's capable hard rock is alternately ornamented, twiddly, and heavy-handed, so after repeated listens, Tull fans should be satisfied.
Are these contemporary? Because I know in the last couple of albums, we haven't been able to find something of the time. They were like later on reviews.
Some of these are and some of these are not.
Okay.
On the whole, it rates as kind of middling. Prog Archives is an interesting site because they let anyone review, but they also then aggregate the reviews. So on average, .com got 3.01 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, that sounds right.
With most people rating it good, but not essential.
Yeah, okay. I think that is a fair assessment.
I think it's unkind. I think it's better than most people say, but I'm not a reviewer.
You particularly love this album, so we'll take that bias lightly in mind.
Fair.
But that being said, just the statement, what'd they say? Okay, but not essential, or what was it?
Good, but not essential.
Good, but not essential. Would you say that this album is essential Tull?
All of it is essential. I think, I'm not the right person to ask because we've gone on this crazy journey.
I know.
One thing that I find is interesting is that even the reviewers who didn't like the album more or less praise songs like Spiral, Bends Like a Willow, Hunt by Numbers.
Interesting.
None of them mention Hot Mango Flush. It seems like none of them can bring themselves to, except for one person who said, it's very bad.
But I want a counter argument here for just a moment. I think that maybe we are some of the best people to know what Tull is and is not essential.
Here's a review from Sputnik Music. I agree.
I was going to say, we're just going to ignore that altogether.
No, I mean, I agree, but I also would say that I think my position is that if you want to listen to Tull, you should listen to what you like, but you should listen to all of it at least once.
Yeah.
Like, which of the Shakespeare plays do you cut out and say, well, this is non-essential Shakespeare?
A lot of the histories.
They're some of the greatest ones, though.
I know.
Anyway, this review on Sputnik Music.
I feel like we've heard of Sputnik Music before. It sounds vaguely familiar.
Yes. I'm just trying to see when this... Oh, this was from 2018, so not contemporary.
Okay.
Interesting. It starts off by saying JTull.com was Jethro Tull's last studio album of original music, which is unfortunate because it was also probably their worst. I disagree. Oh, he continues, I know that not everyone would agree with this. Other people have said it's the best thing since Broadsword.
Right, yeah.
So it's interesting. I think the themes, the kind of recurring themes in the reviews are that it felt a little bit like a marketing ploy, naming it after, kind of putting the name with the release of the website.
Yeah.
A lot of people make comments about Ian's voice. I'm like, what do you want? Him just to de-age by 30 years?
Yeah.
But in general, there's this feeling of that it's dull somehow. And that's something I really don't understand. To me, this album is anything but dull.
Yeah. I feel like as a band progresses, regardless of who it is, it's inevitable that their sound changes. Whether it's experimentation, growth, the fact that band members change, the fact that the lead singer is 40 years older, regardless, the sound is going to change. There will always be those hardcore fans that only want to hear the sound of the early stuff.
Exactly.
And anything new is crap. I'm that way with Weezer.
Sure, fair.
But there are also those people who will acknowledge the full catalog and then be able to pick and choose from the full catalog and not just outright say, well, Tull's dead to me after Heavy Horses.
Yeah.
And that group of listeners, I think, is probably more common in our Tull Skull group, folks who listen to our show. And that just ties in with kind of our mission statement of this show in saying that everybody likes the Tull that they like.
Sure.
You know, not everyone's going to like every song.
Which is fine.
And that's totally fine. Don't shit on someone else's sunshine, and we all support everything else.
You know what I think it is? I have a theory.
Please.
I think that because it was 1999 and because there's this digital bent to the album, and because people were probably still a little bit salty about Under Wraps, which, you know, they can get over it, and
yeah,
the really synth stuff, I think that it was a convenient narrative to say, okay, Jethro Tull has gone digital and that's the end of them. They've gone away from their roots. Not true. They've embraced this new medium where they don't belong. Not true. But I think it's the end of the century. This is the last Tull album, and now we can put them in the history books. Well, joke's on them.
Tough tacos, friends.
Tough tacos, because we're 2 new full Tull albums in. We've got all of Ian's solo material, which we're rounding up to Tull, rounding down to Tull, depending on how you think of it.
Yeah.
And then we've still got new stuff on the way. But that's something that I see a lot in these reviews is like, oh, well, that was the last Tull album and they had a big misstep.
Yeah. Because they wrote those reviews before the most recent ones, obviously.
Before 2022.
Before 2022, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a good point in that 1999 was such an amorphous time.
Y2K.
For so many reasons.
Sure.
Technologically, the internet, musically, in terms of sounds changing drastically. We talked, I think, just last episode about the start of that mass pop movement.
Yes.
The really serious pop stars.
Yes.
The boy bands, girl bands, things like that. So the already aging fans of an already aging group are going to be maybe subconsciously more defensive about the music that their band that they want to be loyal to is putting out.
Yeah. I also wonder that we've talked about this looking at the album in retrospect. There are some points where it's like, oh, that's so 1999. Like,
yeah, right.
And, you know, time is not kind to years like 1999 and 2000.
Yes. Yep.
And that's okay. But I think there's some of that bias of like, oh, look, they named it after their website. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
At the time, that was genius. That was an amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
One could argue.
Yeah, right. That's the way it is with every single Tull album. You have to think about it in the moment, take it with a grain of salt, and see it for what it was then.
And on that note, I give this album 100 stars.
100 stars, making it rain stars.
If you can hear my voice, go onto these prog websites and rate it unreasonably high. Let's tip the scale.
Let's do it. Let's make it the best seller of 2025.
That's right. Nick McGill.
Omen, Thomas Sade, what is It All Trickles Down about?
Ooh, I was hoping you would know.
That's why I asked you immediately, because I knew you were going to ask.
Well, you're up to you're on to my tricks.
I am.
Yeah, this has been a little bit of a chestnut, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can break it down together.
Let's parse it out together.
So we already referenced some of the possible meanings of to trickle down. We talked about trickle down economics.
Yes.
You basically make it easy for rich people to borrow lots and lots of money very cheaply. And the theory is that creates jobs. It trickles down. Turns out it doesn't work.
Yeah, bullshit.
To trickle down, we could be talking about water.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a spring at the top of a mountain, it's going to trickle down because of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a sense of inevitability about it.
Yeah, of something starting at the top and making its way to the bottom.
Right. So we could be talking about a family tree. I've often heard in the corporate sphere, but also in terms of governance, that culture often trickles down from the most powerful person. So like if the CEO
Oh, yeah.
is a toxic, womanizing fiend, then it's much more likely that that is going to be a pervasive element of culture within that group.
Think about all the kings and queens, like the queen was wearing a fascinator in France. So now in some bum town in France, they're all wearing fascinators.
Yeah, 6 months later.
Yeah, King Henry had a boil on his ass, so they're all walking around with bandages on their ass.
Well, and actually, that's a very good example because do you remember that fantastic scene in The Devil Wears Prada where Meryl Streep is like, you think that sweater you're wearing is blue? Well, it's not. It's cerulean, which is a very specific dye of blue that had a revival in this year by this designer and a very high fashion show. And from there, it was adopted by a lower fashion house. From there, it ended up in this fashion house. And that trend continued until it was, the bargain stores where you probably got it on sale.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The other thing that it makes me think of is genetics and family history.
Okay.
If your parents raise you a certain way, you're more, we talk about breaking the cycle of trauma.
Yeah.
If your parents raise you a certain way, you're more likely to pass that kind of stuff on to your kids. There's a wonderful lyric in Charli XCX's song off of Brat called Apple, in which she's comparing herself to an apple. She says, I think the apple's rotten right to the core from all the things passed down from all the apples coming before. I split the apple down symmetrical lines, and what I see is kind of scary. Makes me just want to drive.
I think the apple's rotten right to the core from all the things passed down from all the apples coming before. I split the apple down symmetrical lines. So what I find is kind of scary. Makes me just want to drive.
This idea that who I am is an inevitable result of where I came from, that I can't help it.
Right. Genetic predestination.
And cultural, it's both nature and nurture.
Right, yeah.
So, with all that supposition, should we get into the actual lyrics?
Yeah, I just want to throw in there, it's probably not right, but it also, the idea of it all trickles down triggers the idea of what it boils down to. Ultimately in the end,
Sure.
it is this.
Yeah. Very open to interpretation, I think, but I like that a lot.
Okay.
There's a dragon tail swishing behind tonight. Poison's rising. I'm up too tight. I might not be responsible for the things that I might do.
There's a dragon tail swishing behind the night. Poison's rising, I'm up too tight. I might not be responsible for things that I might do.
I like the double
Mites.
conditional.
Yeah. I might not be responsible for the things that I might do.
So to me, I get the image of like, it's like when you say to people like, oh, your horns are showing. Or your hooves are showing.
Yeah.
Kind of saying like, oh, my dragon tail's popping out. I'm about to go beast mode.
Yeah. I'm potentially cranky. I will potentially lash out. Damage could be done.
Right. And whereas, for instance, down at the end of your road is more, I'm always that way and I like it. This is, I'm sometimes that way and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
And also reflecting the blame onto something or someone else. I can't be held responsible. This is how I am. If people trigger that, so be it.
Yeah, that wasn't Omen. That was Uncle Omen who did that.
Yeah. Oh, Uncle Omen.
Eee. He goes on, my tanks are full and my dogs are loose. Bees in my bonnet, stew in juice. Saute, simmer, shallow fry.
My tanks are full and my dogs are loose. Bees in my bonnet, stew and juice. So tasting the shell of fry.
These are all very idiomatic phrases, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, my tanks are full is either I have a lot of energy or I'm loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, gas tank.
Yeah, right.
Petrol for our UK listeners.
Oh yeah, that's what it's called.
My dogs are loose.
Potentially out of control.
Yeah, unleash the hounds of war.
Yeah.
Who let the dogs out?
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
There's that sense of I'm going slightly feral.
Mm-hmm.
Bees in my bonnet.
A bee in my bonnet is just to be slightly annoyed.
To be annoyed about something, yeah.
That's a bee in my bonnet. I guess bees in my bonnet. You're exponentially more annoyed.
Yeah, I put on a beehive thinking it was a hat.
Yeah, that's the mistake.
The man who mistook his beehive for a hat.
Yes. Yeah. My favorite sequel. Yeah.
Stew in juice, saute, simmer, shallow fry. I love all the cooking metaphors. It's kind of describing things getting hotter. Stew, saute, simmer, fry.
Yeah. Yeah, but also you can stew. You can kind of be angry and stew. You can also be angry and simmer.
Yeah, simmering with anger.
Yeah. They do work there. That kind of collection of analogies works with it.
It almost is the imagery of a pot that's almost about to boil over.
Yeah. In A Christmas Carol, the line is, the potatoes are kissing the bottom of the pot, begging to be peeled or something like that. Or the bottom of the lid, rather.
Jeez, Dickens, keep in your pants.
Yeah, that man and his words. Paid by the word.
Horny potato talk.
Mm-hmm. Thirsty for potatoes.
Thirsty for potatoes. When it all trickles down to you, it all trickles down. Yes, it all trickles down. Well, it all trickles down from me to you.
Well, it all trickles down. Yes, it all trickles down. Well, it all trickles down from me to you.
That, to me, kind of makes me think of that, whatever the relationship is that he's describing, could be with anyone. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be business associates. It could be the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, whenever this happens, well, ultimately, you're going to have to deal with it, not me.
Yeah. It sounds like an abusive relationship.
Yeah. Which is an interesting thing to write a song about, and certainly one that Ian has, a theme that Ian's written about before. Usually he's on the other side. Usually he likes to be the one being abused.
Our sub, yeah.
He's our favorite prog rock masochist.
But, I mean, yes, we can think of this as a relationship, a father to a son, a husband to a wife, things like that. But I don't necessarily rule it out for it being Ian's reason for being a cranky old man sometimes,
Sure.
Like, listen, I am exhausted. I am traveling the world.
I've got bees in my bonnet.
I've got bees in my bonnet.
Yeah. Yeah. Tonight it's bad, Ian.
Bad Ian. I'm going to play the flute on the other leg.
I'm going to blow into the other end of the flute. Second full verse, or third full verse. My day was rough. Don't care about yours. It's great. Love it. I put muddy feet on your polished floor. A goose to cook, a job that I'm well qualified to do.
My day was rough, don't care about yours. I put muddy feet on your polished floor. A goose to cook, a job that I'm most qualified to do.
What does it mean to cook someone's goose? My goose is cooked?
They're caught. There's nowhere to turn. They're busted.
Someone's actions have been discovered and they are in trouble.
Yeah.
So does that mean that I'm busting you? I'm discovering your faults and critiquing you for them?
I think so. I think that ties in with the job that I'm well qualified to do. I'm here to cook your goose.
Oof.
And I will find something to cook your goose. And that's because I put my muddy feet on the floor. Why are those muddy footprints there? Clean that up.
Wow. That could be a very gaslighty situation.
Yeah.
This could be the theme song for the Krampus. It really could.
You think so?
Yeah. I've got a devil's tail. I've got a dragon tail. The poison's rising. I'm going to do crazy stuff and you're going to deal with it.
Yeah, but the Krampus doesn't set them up for failure.
How do you know?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know.
You think that Krampus is following a strict system of justice?
You think we're all naughty? I think he makes us naughty.
I think he sees us all as naughty.
Who put those muddy hoof prints on the floor?
Who's got tabs on the crab?
Who's got the tabs on the crab?
Did I tell you? Maybe I did during that song, but Raven has this memory of, I don't think I was there, but she tells the story where forever ago when we were in Rochester, she was at a buffet and this little kid came like running by the table yelling, "Where the crabs at?" And to this day, anytime crab comes up,
Where the crab's at? It's great.
we ask, "Where the crabs at?" Who put the tabs on the crab? Where the crabs at?
It's an important thing to be aware of. The bridge gets a little strange. Would be the one, would be the tea on toast, would be the sun, would be the Holy Ghost. If this is not believable, then you've just had one too few.
Would be the one, would be the tea on toast. Would be the sun, would be the Holy Ghost. If this is not believable, then you just had one too few.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, please tell me, because I got nothing.
He spends 3 verses saying what a meanie he is. And then he says, that's not my fault. I would be as proper as afternoon tea. I would be the Son, the Father, and the Holy Ghost. And if you don't believe that, that's your fault.
Yes. Yes.
Then you've had one too few. Initially, I thought this is a song about drinking. But I wonder if it's like, why are you if you don't see eye to eye, I'm going to give you another black one.
Oh.
Yeah.
You need another pop? I like that. But I think it does work for the alcohol as well.
It works for, yeah, I think it does.
You need to be drunker to see my logic, to understand it.
And it does tie it all together nicely in terms of this could be a song about an angry drunk.
Yeah.
He goes from happy drunk to angry drunk 3/4 of the way through the first beer.
Yeah.
So he's always an angry drunk.
Right.
And if you've got a problem with it, it's because you're too sober.
That's your problem, not mine. Last verse, Omen. Give it to me.
Would be the mad jack to your queen of spades, a little mac in your burger trade. One dead cert consequence, it all trickles down.
Would be the mad jack to your queen of spades. The little mac in your burger trade. One dead cert consequence, it all trickles down to you.
Okay, mad jack to the queen of spades. Poker reference, you need a jack to complete the royal flush.
Uh-huh.
It's also, I can be the man to your woman.
I guess, but generally the queen and the king are the pair.
So I can be your naughty man.
I guess Mad Jack, is that a phrase?
Jacks are wild. One-eyed Jack.
Maybe. Suicide King?
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed Jack is king.
That's it.
A little mac in your burger trade? Nick, I'm actually out. I'm out of ideas on this one.
Well, Big Mac burger, you know.
Oh,
that.
right.
And I guess a little Mac in your burger trade. Something to do with meat? Something to do with treating her like meat, or treating her, the recipient, whoever the you is, treating them as nothing better than meat, a commodity?
I don't know. Maybe it's saying, like if we're following on the previous verse, I could be good, I could be nice, but maybe you don't believe it. And then he continues, I could be the mad jack to your queen. I could be an asset to you. I could be a little Mac. Like if you're doing a burger trade, you need burgers.
Yeah. And I could be that for you.
I can be that burger for you.
Yeah.
Strange way of saying it.
Yeah.
One dead cert consequence. Oh, yeah. And he's saying, and the only consequence of this that happens to be dead certain is all of my bullshit trickles down to you.
Yeah. So I could be these good things for you, and what you have to pay is dealing with it.
Exactly. Which is kind of more gaslighting in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When I did the rain rig and drowning pond and drainage system for a production of Macbeth in New York, I knew nothing about plumbing and had to learn quite a lot on the fly. And this old union guy said, he was showing me how to connect things up, and he said, there's only one thing you got to know about plumbing. Shit flows downhill. I was like, And,
He's not wrong.
I would say that's the number one thing that you need to learn about plumbing.
Yeah, not
what you
the
need to know
only.
about plumbing. No, but
Yeah.
definitely a good place to start.
Fluid dynamics, good place to start. Yeah.
He had him. To me, he's saying, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad. I could be good. I could be really good for you. And all you would have to deal with is the fact that I'm so bad.
Is the I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad.
Because then he repeats all the bad stuff.
Yeah.
It's great. And I think that, the dirty, grungy sound of this fits that. It's a song about a bad man.
Yeah. Content-wise, it could go on Aqualung, and I wouldn't blink twice.
Blink once if you are in danger.
Blink twice if you think this could go on Aqualung.
Yeah, I think it could. It could go on Catfish in a way.
Okay, sure.
I really do think I would love to pair it with Down at the End of Your Road.
Mm-hmm. I could see it on Roots or Rock Island, even for the darkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a nice song.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad we figured out what the hell it was about. I think it just really adds to the feeling of the song.
I think we figured out what we think it's about.
I believe Ian has said that whatever we say it's about is it.
Oh, did he say that? Yeah.
I have a certificate on the wall over here.
Is it done in crayon by any chance?
Yes, I thought it was an odd choice. But
I think that was Bad Nick who wrote that.
there's a picture of a little kitty that he drew as well.
Oh, well, there you go. Then it's official. Nick, what are we listening to next week?
Next week, good golly gosh, cats and kittens everywhere.
Oh my God.
We are officially done, quote unquote, with the Tull albums proper.
Unquote.
Unquote.
Because we will have another proper official Tull album coming out soon.
Correct. And we are including these two final solo albums because between .com and Zealot Gene, there is a Venn diagram of personnel that is featured on either or both of Thick as a Brick 2 and Homo Eradicus.
That's not just Ian Anderson.
This is not just Ian Anderson, right? Yeah.
So if you are brave and like the sounds of our voices, continue to listen on, and we are going to go into really uncharted Tullatory.
Yeah. I mean, I've listened to them once or twice, but a lot like It All Trickles Down, I'm going in fairly fresh and new on both of these albums. So that's pretty exciting. We're on track number 1 of Thick as a Brick 2, From a Pebble Thrown.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it's called.
I better start listening to this stuff. Until next week, I am the special sauce in your Mac, Omen Thomas Sade.
I am swishing behind you tonight. I am Nick McGill.
Swishing.
Swish, swish.
We are the bees in your bonnet, the Feckless Moans.
This is the juice that you stew in, the sauce that you simmer in, and the oil that you fry in. Talk Tull to me. Ow, oh, hot. Ah, ow, ow.
Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise. It's not lapis. It's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room. from a pile of stuff.